The 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup is proudly brought to you by SunBet, Bridgestone, the tyre of choice, VAG Automotive Centre Centurion, EBC Brakes, GoZone Water, Seal Pro, and Pump Elec CC. Welcome to Cape Town for round one of the 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup, which recently took place at the Killarney International Raceway and formed part of the Extreme Festival once again. Time for the riders to dust themselves and their machines off in preparation for the first round of 2026. But first, a few little penalties to be handed out at Riders Briefing.
You guys did not complete the sign-on register this morning. So you've got a choice. You've got a choice. A first session.
I didn't do the first session.
So you've got a choice. 3-second penalty or 10 burpee push-ups. I did. I'll still do better.
So perhaps then a bit of an administrative error, but the riders took it in good spirits. Lubas, James Parson, Damien Purificati and Keith Agliotti showing how it should be done. As always in the SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup, 3 qualifying sessions on Friday and 1 on Saturday morning. Trevor Westman absolutely destroying his beautiful Project 60 SA Team Wayward ZX10R machine in one of the final qualifying sessions on Friday. So him and the team would have a lot of work to do overnight to get the bike ready for the next day of racing. Luckily, Trevor himself was unharmed as the riders fitted new tyres come Saturday morning for the final qualifying session. As always, they would have to use the same set for the final qualifying session on Saturday and race 1 and race 2. Johan Leroux giving Dirk Stolz, a new rider for the 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup Series, a helping hand, fitting those brand new Bridgestone tyres and EBC brake pads. Eddie van Dalen very pleased, giving the EBC brake pads a big thumbs up. He's of course the man behind VAG Automotive Centurion, one of the series sponsors. Some old faces and some new faces. Alfie Swanepoel, last year's TC come rider in 2026. James Parson also fitting those brand new Bridgestone tyres and EBC brake pads. He looks very chuffed about that. In that helping hand as always in the SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. That is Heinrich Mann giving Byron Rossball a hand. And a hug there for Ian Harwood as Keith Agliotti fuels up his machine in anticipation for race 1 of the 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. The number 48 of Aubrey Murray, great to have Aubrey back in the series in 2026. All smiles for Damien Purificati, not so much though for Clinton Seller. Unfortunately, Clinton was battling with what looked like a trapped nerve, and no matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't hold onto that beast of a ZX10R. Him and the team decided it was in everyone's interest and safety to bow out of round 1 of the 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. Trevor Westman and team doing a great job getting a spare motorcycle ready in time for race day. But let's hear from the poleman, Damien Purificati. Damien Purificati, first poleman of 2026 here at Killarney for round 1 of the 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. You did a 14.5, quite a quick lap obviously. I know you wanted a little bit more, and Trevor Westman and Clinton both went quicker than you yesterday, but unfortunately Clinton's had to pull out after the rest of the race weekend, and Trevor had that bad luck, so I think it's meaning he's starting in about 8th or 9th place on the grid. So yeah, how was it qualifying for you and expectations for the races?
Qualifying was good. The wind was pumping this morning. A lot of sand out of turn 1, which sort of threw you offline. I was on for a 14.4 and then I hit some traffic, but it still puts Trevor and Clint quicker than me. But overall, I'm very happy. And thanks to all the sponsors, thanks to SunBet.coza, GoZone, Pump Elec, EBC brake pads, Bridgestone tyres, and the whole committee that makes everything happen here. Thank you to everyone. Let's go racing. Thank you.
Awesome. best of luck, and yeah, we'll hopefully catch you in the winner's circle.
Thank you.
Another new face for 2026 is that of Robert Ferreira on the 811. While some old faces here, Henk Kruger on his brand new Siemens ZX10 for this year, and Lubabal Tisana on the Albi Auto ZX10, showing how it should be done. Left to right, elbow down. Damien Perifacati, Ryan van der Kerk, and Ricky Marias. Ricky Marias taking over TC duties from Alfie Swanepoel. Lubas preparing himself on the number 53 machine for race 1. Keith Agliotti with a brand new livery on his TNB Global Retro Raceball bike for 2026. He ended off 2025 with a bang, so can he carry that momentum forward in 2026? You might have noticed that for 2026, the SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup have a few new sponsors, one of those being GoZone Water, keeping the marshals hydrated as well as the riders and their families as well. Great vibe as always in pit lane in the SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. Aubrey Murray looking like he wants to have a nap, but nonetheless ready for action with a huge thumbs up. There is the new man Robert Ferreira. What is he doing? Perhaps, I think he's getting his entry in, ready for round 2 at Red Star Raceway. Always smiles, always laughter in the SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. One of those men, Byron Rothwell, always smiling, and a thumbs up, or perhaps a half 5 or half 4 from Ian Harwood. The number 42 Tyre Mart East London machine of Jason Lamb, a man who's always very, very fast around the Killarney International Raceway. There was Alfie Swanepoel, and the number 166 machine, that is of course the bike of Reginald Seal. Thumbs up, Damien Perifacati, Jason Lamb, and Trevor Westman, all looking to grab that number 1 spot. Eddie van Dalen, Trevor Westman, and the rest of the riders made their way out of pit lane for race 1 of round 1. So pole position went to Damien Perifacati ahead of Lamb, McMahon, van Dalen, Barson, Agliotti in 6th ahead of Nsana in 7th, Seal in 8th, and Trevor Westman in 9th position. Byron Rothwell in 10th ahead of Henk Kruger, Frey, Ian Harwood, Robert Ferreira in 14th, Dirk Stolz in 15th. As the lights went off though, it was a fantastic start to the race for Poleman Damien Perifacati, who took the whole shot heading into turn 1. Trevor Westman also making up a few spots already from 9th on the grid as we take a ride on board with Ryan McMahon on his beautiful Expo Security Solutions K9 Law Enforcement Panel-Tech SA ZX10R heading into turn 1. See, got a short shift there off the line. Keep that front wheel down. As soon as that front wheel comes up, you generally lose a lot of momentum as Han heads into turn 1. A great start, 3rd position. So a fantastic start there for Han McMahon as the riders made their way into turn 2. It was Jason Lamb in 2nd, a move on the inside there for 4th position already by Trevor Westman. So a great move there on Keith Agliotti just behind him as the rest of the riders made their way through. You can see tight-knit racing as always, and James Boston making a move there on Aiden van Dalen as well. James Boston looking like he's got serious pace this weekend and looking to turn that into a great result for him and the team. As we jump on board with Trevor Westman making a move on Han McMahon down the back straight, heading into the final corner on his ZX10R. Great to see that from a rider's perspective, literally inside the helmet of Trevor Westman. James Boston, another move on the inside, this time on Keith Agliotti. James Boston making his way forward. He's looking like a rider that means business, and he'd have to chase down the veteran rider, of course, who he is challenging, and that is, of course, Jason Lamb. So James Boston currently 2nd in the veteran or C category. And then that's the bright yellow, Lumo yellow bike of Reginald Seal. You literally cannot miss Reggie out on track in 2026. Damien Perifacati on the Amalgam Welding Shop and the Left Racing ZX10R already stretching his advantage out front ahead of Jason Lamb in 2nd, and in 3rd place that was Trevor Westman on his, not a rebuilt motorbike, it was pretty much a spare motorbike that the team had to get ready last minute, prepare and set up, and due to the fact it was a different motorcycle, not the one he crashed on Friday, Trevor had to start from 9th on the grid. No matter, he quickly took advantage, making up positions off the start to get up to 3rd position. The number 56 of Dirk Stolz was having a stonking ride as well, and he was mixing it up with the likes of Alfie Swanepoel and Aubrey Murray. Aubrey Murray making his way through the field after a bit of a dismal qualifying. But remember, Aubrey hasn't been on a motorbike for so long, so it's a case of dusting off the cobwebs and finding that form that we know he's capable of on that beautiful number 48 First Digital ZX10R. Heading down the straight to complete another lap, Reggie Seal on that bright Lumo yellow bike ahead of Brian Rothwell, and the red bike heading into turn 1. That is, of course, Henk Kruger. Now, Henk Kruger has a brand new sponsor for this year, and that is, of course, Siemens Motorcycles and Business Brake Pub. So he'll be looking at putting on the show and clawing his way up the field. Back to the front of the field, and in 4th place, the battle was heating up. It was still James Barson ahead of Han McMahon, and then behind him you had just a little bit further back, you had the 166 of Reggie Seal, as the 4th place battle made their way down the back straight into the final corner. It looked like Han McMahon was battling a little bit, perhaps with a small mechanical issue. It looked like he was battling a little bit on acceleration and perhaps some top end power on that ZX10R. So it was later found out that he actually was battling with a fuel pump issue. So he would look at getting that fixed and come back stronger in race 2. Speaking about stronger, Adi van Dalen with a move on Keith Agliotti from a mile back. That's a move that only Adi van Dalen could pull off. Getting lean angles of up to 67 degrees this weekend was Adi van Dalen on that VAG Automotive Centre Centurion ZX10R. Back at the front though, it was still the leading 3. Purificati ahead of Lamb, ahead of Westman. With the top 3 positions looking set, it was now the battle for 4th that was heating up quite nicely. And as you can see, Henk Kruger was also catching the 2 riders ahead of him. That was, of course, Brian Rothwell with Reggie Seal. The number 21 of Gerard Frey. Great to have Gerard back in the mix for 2026. He was leading out that battle between Stolz, Murray, and that is, of course, the number 3 of Alfie Swanepoel. Last year's TC, he's traded in the tools, well, not really the tools, because he's still working on his bike, but he's traded in the tools somewhat for a motorcycle for 2026. As he dusts off the cobwebs, we know he'll become a challenger in the veterans category for 2026. Purificati looking to take advantage of Clinton Seller's absence and take a well-deserved victory. And of course, if he does win, it would mean that someone would lead the championship for the first time, other than Clinton Seller, in around about 2 years in the SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. So a fantastic achievement is on the table for Damien Purificati as we ride on board with the Malden Welding and the Left Racing Man heading onto the back straight. You can hear him rev the guts out of that ZX10R machine as he bangs it down through the gearbox, heading into the final corner and to start yet another lap. Jason Lamb doing his utmost to try and catch Damien, as was Trevor Westman. At this stage of the race, the wind was picking up. You can see the flags waving in the wind, so relentless wind, and that could cause a few little errors from riders heading into corners, perhaps getting their braking markers not quite correct, either with the tailwind, perhaps with the headwind as well, or even in the corners. The wind could just be getting underneath that fairing, underneath that motorbike, and causing a bit of problems, lifting that front wheel up, and very tricky to navigate, definitely. As you can see, the riders heading out of turn 2 or into turn 2 and out of turn 2. That is the top 3. Purificati, Lamb and Westman, followed by Barson, who is having a great ride, showing great pace, head of Adi van Dalen, elbows out, Han McMahon, Keith Agliotti, and behind him Lubabal and Sana having a great ride as well on the 53. Brian Rothwell had now made his way through on Reggie Seal on the 166, and Henk Kruger had caught both of these riders and made his way through on Reggie Seal, and now was looking at getting his claws into the number 37 man ahead of him, and that is of course Brian Rothwell. Robert Ferreira was having a solid first outing on his ZX10R as he looks to adjust to the Bridgestone tyres, EBC pads, and to the ZX10R for 2026. Back out front, the battle for fourth was heating up. It was James Barson still ahead of Han McMahon in 5th place, and 6th place was Eddie van Dalen on the VAG Automotive Centre Centurion bike. He looked like he had a little bit more pace at this stage than Han McMahon, who was battling those technical issues. He was looking at possibly getting past and chasing down Barson, who has great pace this weekend, great form, does the veteran rider. Speaking about veteran riders, and they don't come tougher or quicker than Jason Lamb, who year after year continues to prove that age is just a number. Eddie van Dalen managed to get some great drive heading out turn 1 and put his ZX10R up the inside of James Barson heading into turn 2. So that was now Eddie van Dalen up to 4th place. There's Keith Agliotti still ahead of Lubas. So Luba Balensana having a great ride on the 53 bike. Remember, Killarney is a track that he goes well at. It's a track that he knows like the back of his hand. So he was looking at getting his bike well within the top sort of 7 positions at this stage. The number 48 of Aubrey Marais, also fantastic to have Aubrey back in the mix for 2026. Alfie Swanepoel, enough cannot be said about Alfie Swanepoel having a great outing on his HX Consulting Services Ace Racing Bikewise ZX10R in what must seem like his first outing in about a gazillion years. The veteran rider doing an impressive job. Speaking about impressive job, the out front, Eddie van Dalen getting his elbows out. He was still in an almighty battle with James Barson. Now, James Barson is a very tough competitor, and I speak from experience. I've raced against James plenty, so I know he's a tough man to crack. And once he gets those doors in, you've got your work cut out for you to stay ahead of him as he looks for a move there on the inside of Eddie van Dalen once again. And behind him it was Keith Agliotti now making his way through. He had found a way through on the number 4 bar. He was still having those sort of those niggling issues with the fuel pump, but nonetheless still a great battle, a 4-way battle for 4th position. And oh no, that is Luba Balensana. We thought he had maybe gone missing there from that front group, and indeed he had. That looks like it could be out of the final corner. Luckily, he seems okay. The marshals always doing a fantastic job here at Killarney. But that's not the result that Luba Balensana would have wanted. And in the final closing stages of the race as well, Damien Perficati, no such issues for the man out front. A new number for 2026, the number 88 bike. And he's on a new mission for sure. Looking at drawing first blood in 2026. That is Robert Ferreira. Now, Damien Perficati coming up to lap Robert Ferreira, who in his own right was having a great first outing as he was looking at adjusting to the tires and to the new bike as well. Obviously coming from a different brand over to the Kawasaki. It will take some getting used to, but once you're used to it, like Damien Perficati is, I mean, he puts in the work, don't get me wrong. Sleepless nights, he does put in the work, and it looks like he's going to draw first blood and take victory, the first victory in round 1 of the 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. Navigating his way through on Robert Ferreira. Well, Damien, you could have just let Robert go through and perhaps do another lap. But nonetheless, across the line, it was Damien Perficati on the Amalgam Welding and the Left Racing ZX10R who took the first victory of 2026 ahead of Jason Lamb in second, Trevor Westman in a great 3rd place. And this battle was raging on, and it looks like Eddie van Dalen might just hang on ahead of James Barson and Keith Agliotti putting on a show there. Fantastic effort. Han McMahon finishing off there just behind them, nursing his bike home. I'm sure he'll be more of a threat in race 2. Gerard Frey, unfortunately, a bit of an issue pulling in with 1 lap to go. A little bit of vibration on the rear, so rather playing it safe than sorry, deciding to pull in and check the issue and sort it out, get ready for race 2. What a cracking first race of 2026. And if that's anything to go by, I'm really looking forward to the rest of the 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup season. Lubas managing to get his bike into Park Ferme, just explaining to Ricky Marias the issue behind his crash as the rest of the riders made their way into Park Ferme. Big thumbs up from Jason Lamb. He took overall victory in the Class C, the veteran category, but it was Damien Perficati who took Class B honours and overall honours. Class A honours went to Trevor Westman on the number 60. third overall as well on pretty much a new bike. So fantastic effort there from Trevor and team, but no one could outride the 88 of Damien Perivacati for race 1. You're looking at your new championship leader after the first race of round 1 of the 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup Championship. Not even going to let you take your helmet off. What a ride.
Thank you very much.
Jason looked like he was closing you there for a while, and you put in a 14.4, I think.
Yes.
You broke him, you pulled that gap, and yeah, awesome ride.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
An impressive 5th overall and 2nd in the veterans category for James Barson on his prop-proof, waterproofing and painting ZX10R. A great outing for James Barson. Aubrey Marie with a well-deserved sip of Goes On water, explaining to Dirk Stolz there about his race. Trevor Westman, a great outing. Robert Ferreira and Henk Kruger also with a great outing. The number 3 of Alfie Swanepoel and the 469 of Adi van Dalen showing flat taps muggies. Alfie Swanepoel, what a ride here in round 1 of the 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup. From TC to absolutely hammering those out there. Looks like you were handing out some lessons and getting faster with every lap. It's up 120 lap time. First outing out, round 1, how was it for you?
It was awesome. Obviously, I've got to get used to the power of the motorbike. If I could pull away, next session will be right. I'm quite sure. I'd just like to say thank you to HXCS Consulting, to Bikewise for the sponsorships. Thank you, Reggie, for all your support and moral support from everybody here. It's such a beautiful family to be in. Thanks, ZX10.
Well done. Go pick that blue ball and come back stronger for us too.
I will do.
After an enthralling race 1, it was Damien Perivacati who took victory ahead of Jason Lamb, Trevor Westman in 3rd, Adi van Dalen in 4th, James Barson in 5th, Keith Agliotti in 6th position ahead of Han McMahon in 7th, Henk Kruger in 8th, and Byron Rothwell in 9th position. 10th position went to Reggie Seal on his beautiful ZX10R ahead of Aubrey Marais, Dirk Stolz in 12th, Alfie Swanepoel, a fantastic 13th, Ian Harwood in 14th, Robert Ferreira in 15th, Gerard Frey and Luba Balansana with those issues in 16th and 17th respectively. Next up, race 2. The 2026 SunBet ZX10 Masters Cup is proudly brought to you by SunBet, Bridgestone the tire of choice, VAG Automotive Sensor Centurion, EBC Brakes, GoZone Water, Seal Pro, and Pump Elec CC.